Hello and welcome to Slick Witty Fly. So what are we going to do today? Today we're going to do another streamer, but I'm going to use a material that I haven't previously used on any fly. Today we're going to use goat hair. And goat hair is a great material for making streamers and making a little bit longer flies. So let's go ahead and jump in on it. What I have in the vise is a 1/0 saltwater hook, and I've already started a little thread with 100 denier white. Probably gonna color the white or change thread at the end. Having a little morning coffee here, and well, let's just get started. I think that this particular fly is a great beginner fly. Goat hair tends to be less expensive and pretty easy to work with than, say, if you have to go out and buy select craft fur or some other form of a little bit more pricey materials. I think it's definitely easier for kids to start with something like goat hair or craft fur as opposed to deer hair. Deer hair tends to freak people out. I don't know why really, but it just seems to be that way. So I'm just gonna separate a small clump of goat hair. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to go ahead and cut it off of the skin, the leather patch. Now, in this particular case, I'm going to put 2 clumps in for the tail, 2 different colors. And because I'm using 2 different colors, I want the white to go under. And even though the whole point of using this clump of goat tail so you can make a longer fly, I don't like making flies crazy long, especially if the fly is going to be used or tied by young people or new tyers, because it just tends to foul more and just be a little bit more difficult for them. So I do want to keep the 2 colors separate, and I have a different video on how I do that I could attach in the comments when I do my material list. So I've basically wrapped around just the goat hair, and then I've placed it 1 lap around the hook. So now when I'm happy with the position, I could come tight. And I'm just gonna give this a couple of wraps, nice and tight. Then I can use my needle to distribute around the hook. Just like that. Perfect. And now I want to make sure that this is nice and tight. This is why I use that 100 denier, because you can really just crank hard. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this tag off. When I'm cutting off my tag, if you have a new tire, I like to spin the material before I come in with a scissor, because that really helps me make a nice clean cut just like that, and then I could come back and clean it up with the thread wraps. Okay, so now I have the bottom section of my goat hair, and I bring my thread back to my starting point. My tie-in point was basically the barb of the hook. And now I'm going to use a little bit of olive, because that's basically my color combo for this fly is olive and white. Don't need a ton. The nice thing about working with goat hair is it's very straight, very soft, right from the package. I could show you the packaging in a second that it came in. So now I have my established length. So I want to maintain that same established length. And again, I don't want these to combine. So 1 wrap around only the olive craft fur, and now around the hook. Double check that I still like where it's placed. And now I can crank tight on that and just lock it in. beautiful. Now at this phase, if you watch a lot of my videos, I normally would put in some flash. I'm not going to put in flash on this particular fly at this phase. What I'm going to do, for this particular fly is I'm going to put in an ice wing under some of the fur, and I think that will be the flash that we need for this particular fly. So what I'm going to do now is just use a little bit of white chenille, 5mm, super small chenille, and I'm only using this just to build a little bulk in the body. And what that'll do is it will also make my goat hair have a little bit more mass in the water. So that's really the only thing I'm doing with this material right now. I'm going to go ahead and use the rotary function. And that's really right there, that little 2-3 spins is plenty. I'm just going to catch this right here. And once I'm happy that I have secured it, I can trim off the chenille. Remember, explain to your new tires, if you have a new tire, that you never ever cut off any material on the same side as the bobbin, so you minimize the risk of cutting off your thread. It's not the end of the world if you cut off your thread. Just reapply it, retie it on there. But it's, you know, easier if you don't, I would say. Alright, so now we're back in business. Now we're back at the bottom. I'm going to take another clump of white. I just take it off the leather patch. Now again, I'm going to actually trim this a little. Don't need it as long. It's going to be, you know, I want this to be somewhat sparse, but I don't want it to be as long as the bottom. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this in basically like a hollow tie. I'm going to do about 60-40. One wrap only around the white, and then the second wrap goes around the white and the hook. Once you like where it is, you lock it in. Then I can pull this back. Use my thumb to basically distribute a little. Pull the thread forward and make a little wall behind the hollow tie. And that just gave me a little bit more mass. Now I'm going to do the same with my olive. You know what will happen with this material is this fly will be a lot nicer, even though it's long, will be a lot nicer for a young person, or I keep saying young, not necessarily a young person, but someone new to fly fishing and fly tying. It's just gonna be a little bit nicer for them to cast this fly. This is not going to be the last clump, so it's going to be a little bit thicker. But again, we're going to do that. It's not really 50-50, say 60-40 spread. One wrap around just the olive. One wrap around the whole hook. Using my thumb now to spread it just a little. I'm going to bring back the remaining olive. And lock it in. Okay. Using my needle to distribute a little. All right. It's looking good. You can also take a comb at any point in this fly and just give it a little comb out. Doesn't hurt anything. Okay, so my next step is I'm going to take a little bit of ice wing. In this particular case, I'm going to take this yellow ice wing, and you really do not need a lot of material here. I'm going to take, that's probably too much right there. It's so easy to take too much, but I guess I'm going to take that amount. And I'm going to go ahead and place this on the fly. I kind of want it the full length of what I've got going on here. A couple of wraps, soft wraps. Now this I want to distribute over the entire top portion, the olive portion of the fly. And once I'm happy that I've distributed it, just lock it tight. Just like that. And that's pretty much all the flash I'm going to put in this fly. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in one more white. And this will not be a hollow tie. One more clump of white. It's weird tying flies at this early hour in the morning. My entire house is asleep. But it's so quiet. I'm gonna be off to work here soon and just woke up a little early and getting excited about my trip to Florida. This might be one of the last flies I tie before going to Florida. I just kind of threw it up there to get a basic measurement, and now I'm just going to go ahead and tie this in so that the taper looks good. This one I'm not going to do the wrap. This one I want to start to blend a little. I'm going to use my thumb to distribute around the hook. And now I'm going to go ahead and lock that in. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to help distribute. Just like that. Beautiful. Super happy. Take the tag, give it a good spin, and off we go. You know, I'm getting ready to go to Florida for a few weeks. That's why I've been tying all these streamers and saltwater flies. And then when I get back from my Florida vacation, I'm going to start gearing up for fishing in Sweden. So I'm going to be switching gears to nymphs and flies that I would use here. Booby flies, you know, stuff that's early season flies for me in Sweden. All right, one more piece of olive. You know, you don't have to trim off any of this fly before you tie it on. I just find it makes the whole tie a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer. A couple of loose wraps. Now we're going to distribute the olive. This came out great. It's a super, super easy tie. Super inexpensive for young people. I'm going to probably put in a whip finish here and change threads to another color. In fact, I'm gonna do that. Now this fly, 100%. You can whip finish this fly exactly where we are right now, and this fly will fish. Now, some people, I mean, there's so many things you could do. You could put in a little bit of red on the throat area, which I'm not going to do. You could put some peacock curl. You know, some people will come in with something like peacock and put in a little peacock on top, which I'm also not going to do. If I was simply trying to take like really awesome pictures for flies, yeah, I'd throw the peacock in. It looks amazing in a photograph. But I think the peacock in a streamer application is too fragile. So yeah, I get one good bite, maybe two, and then the peacock's gone. I do use a lot of peacock in my nymphs and other stuff where it's awesome, but I just don't like peacock in a streamer. But what you can do, I'm going to go ahead and start a little bit of red thread. And then we're going to put on one more piece of goat hair. So I've started my red. And this red is, I'll check it, but it's probably 100 denier also. This is 100 denier. You know, when I make these kind of flies, I like to use threads that I can pull hard. So I'm gonna get a tiny bit of black goat hair. And I mean tiny. A very tiny amount of black goat hair. If you wanted to give this a little bit darker top, which I personally don't think it needs, I think you're better off that little tiny amount of goat hair is plenty. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some of these really long and restack. That looks better actually right there. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it for the purpose of this video. I personally think that you're much better off doing this than you are using the peacock. I'm going to go ahead and apply that on top, 2 wraps. Now the black, I don't want it over the entire fly. but I don't mind it over the olive a little. Just gonna crank that in. Now I've given this a little darker top, and we are switching to the red thread. So now again, I'm gonna say that this fly will absolutely fish exactly the way you see it here. I think the fly came out awesome. It's a little bit long for me, but it's a great fly. That wing that we put in, that ice wing, it's gonna shine through when this fly is in the water. So this fly will absolutely fish. You could put a UV resin right now on the head. You could put eyes if you wanted. It's entirely up to you. It's entirely really up to the level of the person time. But that's a great fly. That fly right there will definitely fish, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a head in, a UV, using the eyes and build a little head. I'm gonna go ahead and edit that portion out of the video. I have a ton of videos where you can see how I do that, and I'll link them, but then the video just get too long. But I will come back and show you a picture of how it looks when it's done. Alright, so welcome back. So, well, here it is. I think that it came out great. I absolutely believe that this fly would have fished, no problem would it have fished just the way it was. But I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. I think that the eyes will definitely make a difference. You can see that wing will definitely shine through when this fly hits the water. And I think it's gonna work great. I think it's gonna swim great. It's gonna get a lot of bites. I think this is a great beginner fly. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please, please, please like and subscribe. And having a great time doing this with you all. I guess my next video is either gonna be a fishing video from Florida, possibly. I've not made a lot of fishing videos. It's gonna be a very new thing for me. But who knows, maybe we give it a shot and use our flies. Or maybe I just jump into flies for rainbow trout, brown trout, Arctic char, get into those, because that's my, when I get back from Florida, that's where my focus is gonna be. So thanks again for watching. I hope that the video is something that you like and use, and comment, send photographs. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you on the next video. Good luck catching.